According to a new report, the ship has apparently sailed on Tyler Boyd to the Pittsburgh Steelers. We'll be breaking down that rumor. And then we got two more wide receiver targets for the Pittsburgh Steelers. If they're not going to get Tyler Boyd, who else could they go get on the NFL trade market and an NFL free agency? We'll also talk about that on today's show. And make sure you stick around because I got a brand new round one draft target to discuss today right here on Steelers Talk. But before we get into today's news and rumors coverage for the black and gold, make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon if you haven't already. If you're pumped up for draft month, just like we are here at Steelers Talk, it's going to be an awesome month chock full of great draft content for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So make sure you click that thumbs up icon and don't forget to click that subscribe button as well. So today's top story, Mark Kaboly of the Athletic reports that the ship has apparently sailed on Tyler Boyd to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now he also says that the Steelers and Boyd were interested in joining forces at the beginning of free agency, but things have kind of fallen apart because Boyd wants more money than the Steelers are willing to give him. This is what Kaboly had to say earlier this week. I would say that it would be a long shot at best, and the two sides come together. From what I have been told, Boyd was extremely interested in Pittsburgh at the beginning of the free agency process, but the offer wasn't something he was comfortable with. Boyd has at least had preliminary interest from the Chiefs, Chargers, Dolphins, Lions, and 49ers. I am pretty sure the ship with the Steelers has sailed. And then also from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, Ray Filipaldo talking about what the Steelers are looking for at the wide receiver position in free agency. He says, I think the Steelers view any of these current wide receiver free agents as number threes. I just don't think the Steelers want to pay $8 to $9 million a year for a guy who's going to be a number three. Now, obviously, the reports out there right now are indicating that Boyd might be getting interest from other teams and that the Steelers have a set price that they're not willing to come up from. But I wouldn't completely close the door on Tyler Boyd, who is a Pittsburgh native, a former Pitt Panther. He has said that he wants to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers at some point during his career. I wouldn't completely rule out that he ends up coming to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the reason for that is that if he's not getting the kind of dollar figures that he's looking for in free agency right now, then it might go, and then his focus might shift from money over to trying to go to a place in Pittsburgh where he grew up, where he went to, where he was a Pitt Panther, right? If he's somebody that's from the city of Pittsburgh and he wants to deliver a 7th Lombardi trophy to the city of champions, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, I mean, if you're going to be getting $5-6 million instead of the $8 to $9 million that he is reportedly looking for, why not go back to your hometown and try to deliver an NFL record 7th Super Bowl championship for your hometown team? So if that market doesn't develop for Tyler Boyd, I do think later in the process the Steelers could still get Boyd for the price that they're looking to get him. But if the price tag's going to be $8 to $9, even $10 million per season for Tyler, I don't think a deal is going to get done. Now let me know down there in the comments section, what do you want to do at the wide receiver position this offseason? Do you want to go for Tyler Boyd, type TB down there in the comments section, or do you want to go another route, type O down there in the comments section? And if you want to go another route at wide receiver, let me know which receiver you want the Steelers to go get for today's pinned comment. YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. When that happens, take advantage of that time by answering today's pinned question. So now, if the Steelers are not going to go out and get Tyler Boyd, what are some of the other wide receiver targets that they could go get? Now, we've talked about some guys on the channel before, Terry McLaurin, Brandon Ayuk. There's other options that are available to the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. But today I want to talk about two guys that we haven't talked a whole bunch about on the show that I think would be really good fits with the black and gold heading into the 2024 season. Let's start with the free agent wide receiver target here, which is Michael Gallup. Now, Gallup is somebody that has dealt with a pretty serious injury relatively recently. In 2022, he tore his ACL, and before tearing his ACL, he was a pretty darn good receiver, man. He had a season where he had over 1,000 yards receiving, and he's got good size at 6'1", almost 200 200 pounds, so he can definitely come into this Arthur Smith system, and he has the size to be a good run blocker. Last year's Pro Football Focus grade, though, not all that high at a 61.5, and honestly, he hasn't looked like the same guy since he tore his ACL back in 2022. So if you're going to get this guy in free agency, I think you probably want to get him for that $4 to $5, maybe $6 million price point instead of like the $8, $9, $10 million price point. But Gallup is somebody that's had success in the National Football League for a number of years at this point or throughout his career. All right, so he's somebody that's a bigger body, good hands in the red zone, can be a true red zone threat, and he's certainly somebody that can provide veteran experience, and it also allows the Pittsburgh Steelers to keep their options open at wide receiver in the 2024 NFL Draft. This is what Dallas Robinson from Pro Football Network has to say about Gallup coming to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Michael Gallup hasn't been the same player since tearing his ACL back in 2022, but has had a 1,000-yard campaign in 2019 on his ledger. The 6'1", 200-pounder can give the Steelers more size on the perimeter and wouldn't prevent them from drafting an early round wide receiver. So listen, man, when it comes to Michael Gallup, I think for the right price, I think it's a good fit. I think that he's somebody that could be a legitimate number 3 wide receiver option for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But if you get Michael Gallup, who has definitely been on the decline in his career, I think that you definitely want to get some rookie in the NFL draft this year that's on the up and up to be the number 2 receiver for Russell Wilson in this offense. Now, coming up here, should the Steelers trade for Chris Godwin? CBS Sports thinks he could be on the trade block, so I'll discuss that possibility here in just a second. But before I get into that, let me talk about today's sponsor at Game Time, which is the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. Guys, baseball season just got started, and PNC Park is the best ballpark in America, bar none. I don't care what anybody says. So if you want to go check out those Pirates, I think they're 5-0 right now, man. They're doing fantastic. You can go watch them right now by downloading the Game Time app, using their super easy-to-use interface, and getting the lowest price guarantee on Pirates tickets right now. You can also go see the Penguins play. Also, it's absolutely fantastic, guys. And then with Game Time, they got the lowest price guarantee to any ticket to any event. And if you're someone like me that likes to get tickets last minute, Game Time is perfect for you because they got flash deals right before game time, right before your event. So you get even lower prices right before the event. So if you're somebody like me that likes to get tickets last minute, that's perfect for you. Game Time is the fastest growing ticketing app in the United States of America for a reason, and is the only ticketing app on the market that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. See the view from your seat before you buy them, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive at the arena. And tickets are also sent directly to your phone instead of your email, which adds another level of user friendliness. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time today. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS. That's one word, all caps, right down there in the bottom right of your screen for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS, one word, all caps, again, right down there in the bottom right of your screen for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. So now let's talk Chris Godwin here, because CBS Sports says that he could be on the trade market here, and if the Steelers are truly trying to get a star-level wide receiver to add to this receiver room, I think Chris Godwin is right up there with guys like Brandon Ayuk and Terry McLaurin as far as the top trade targets at the position for the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is what Cody Benjamin has to say about the trade status of Chris Godwin. The Buccaneers have operated like a team focused entirely on the present, retaining Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans, Levante David, and Antoine Winfield Jr. in a classic run it back offseason. In that case, they may prefer Godwin to stick as a reliable, if unspectacular, starter. But he's entering the final year of an expensive deal due to a whopping $27.5 million in 2024, and Evans is commanding top dollar on his own new deal. Maybe they'd be open to replacing his role the draft. Now, you take a look at Godwin's profile here. He's even bigger than Michael Gallup, 6'1", 209 pounds. And at that size, he's an excellent route runner that can play on both the inside and outside, which is one of the reasons why this is something that definitely interests me if I am the Pittsburgh Steelers. Last year, really good Pro Football Focus grade at 77.5, which was 28th in the National Football League. So Godwin can still get open. He can still do all the things that you want, especially a number 2 receiver to do. He gets open. He's a bigger body that can still be a threat in the red zone as well. And you take a look at his numbers here over the last several seasons, consistently over 1,000 yards receiving. He's got the inside-outside versatility, and he's got the size to be a really good run blocker potentially in this Arthur Smith system that really relies on bigger receivers to run block, as this is a very run-centric offense. So listen, I'm not sure if Tampa wants to trade Godwin. I mean, it definitely seems like Cody said in his article, it definitely seems like they're bringing the team back together, right? They're running it back with last year's crew that made it to the playoffs. So maybe they want to keep Godwin as their legit number 2 guy and then kind of just let him walk in free agency next year. But it's also possible in a draft where there's a ton of high-end wide receiver talent, they may say, let's get the $27.5 million on Godwin's contract this year off our books, and let's replace him with a cheap, inexpensive, really talented wide receiver in the first or second round this year. I could see them certainly doing that. And if they want to trade Chris Godwin, if they're open to that, I would actually love this move for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You get Chris Godwin. If you do that, you're probably not going to keep the $27.5 million cap hit. You're probably going to give him a couple-year extension to kind of lower the cap hit over the next several seasons. And I definitely think with his inside and outside versatility, with his size, and the fact that I'm not sure if he's really going to be challenging George Pickens for that number 1 wide receiver spot, I think this is an absolutely fantastic move that could absolutely help the Pittsburgh Steelers, not only in 2024, but well beyond just this season. So here's a potential Godwin trade idea for you guys. Pick swap in the first round. So you move from number 20 to number 26, so a slight move up for the Buccaneers. They also get our second-round pick this year, but then we get an additional fourth-round pick. So you would have a first-round pick, 2 third-round picks, and 2 fourth-round picks. So you have the ammunition to move up and back into the second round if you want to, but also you have enough draft picks where you can sit back and, if guys are falling to you, you can absolutely do that as well. So I think this is a very interesting idea, but let me know what you guys think about this potential trade idea to bring Chris Godwin to the Steel City. Would you accept this trade if you are GM Omar Khan? Type A if you would accept it, or type D if you would decline it. Let me know how you're feeling down there in the comments section. Now, before I go, I want to talk a little bit about Duke offensive lineman Graham Barton, who is really starting to make a name for himself as one of the top offensive line prospects in the 2024 NFL Draft. Here's his profile, 6'5", 313 pounds, so maybe a little bit light for a center. Definitely not like super light where he's not going to be able to function in the league, but definitely a bit of a lighter center there. But the Pro Football Focus grade was really good last year at a 75.9. And right now, Pro Football Focus ranks Barton as the 25th overall prospect on their big board and second among centers, second only to Jackson Powers Johnson. And then at his pro day here, the numbers that he put up at his pro day, absolutely unbelievable. Off the charts athleticism here from Graham Barton, a 9.99 relative athletic score. I mean, that's about as high as you can possibly get. This is one of the best athletic profiles we've ever seen from an interior offensive lineman. If you plug Barton in to this very wide zone heavy Arthur Smith offense, he's going to thrive, all right? So I really do think that Barton has earned the right to be in the number 20 pick conversation for the Pittsburgh Steelers. We've talked about offensive tackles like Amarius Mims and Talisi Fuaga, and we've talked about Jackson Powers Johnson as well. But honestly, I think Graham Barton is kind of a dark horse here where if JPJ gets taken and they still want to take a center in round 1, I wouldn't be completely upset if they ended up taking Barton with the number 20 overall pick in this year's NFL draft, because not only is he a perfect fit for the starting center spot here in Pittsburgh, but he also has experience playing guard and offensive tackle, and we know how much Mike Tomlin and Omar Khan really value versatility and depth at the offensive line positioning group here. So Barton is definitely somebody that you should be keeping your eye on as a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Now, to be clear, I still prefer taking an Amarius Mims or a Talisi Fuaga to be the future right tackle on this offensive line. I think center is a bigger need, but offensive tackle is still a need in my opinion. Dan Moore Jr. just isn't going to get the job done for you, especially if you want to go out and try to win a Super Bowl championship next year. And Broderick Jones, I'd be fine keeping him on the right. I'd be fine moving him over to the left, but you need to find another tackle, and tackles are higher value position players than centers, who usually have double team help in terms of pass protection. All right, so if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think that you'd probably want to go tackle with either Amarius Mims or Talisi Fuaga at number 20 overall. But if both those guys are taken and you want to take a center, I'd be fine with either Jackson Powers Johnson or Graham Barton out of Duke. Now, that'll be it for today's show, guys. I appreciate you sticking with me to the very end here. If you want more content from me on my social media, you can hit me up right now. If you got a question, if you got a mock draft you want to share with me, I love hearing from you guys on social media. So you can go follow me at Jack_Sperry on X or at SpareDog.football on Instagram. And like I said, guys, that's going to be it for today's show. Make sure you click that subscribe button right now if you haven't already, because we're going to be having a bunch of great content coming your way, getting you guys ready for the 2024 NFL Draft. So until next time, here we go, Steelers.